Hey everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the Insider Report. Here we talk about characters in the Marvel Cinematic Universe on and off screen. I'm your host, Andrew Lawler, aka Barry. Let's get on with the show. Nobel Prize-winning biochemist Dr. Michael Morbius creates a cure for his rare blood disease that turns into a curse. Attempting an experimental treatment, he transforms into Morbius, a pseudo-vampire with superhuman powers and an overwhelming bloodlust. Like a real vampire, Morbius needs to drink blood to survive. However, after drinking his victim's blood, his mind returns to normal, and he becomes fraught with guilt, remorse, and self-loathing. From a young age, Michael Morbius lives with a rare blood disease in Greece. Fearful of her son getting hurt, his mother forces him to stay inside. His father, Makoria, a surrealist filmmaker, author, and painter, was so often absent from his life that Michael could barely remember his face. Michael's mother keeps the family going by working in her father's bookstore. Still, Michael sneaks out of the house to play with his friend Emil Nico. During one of these excursions, Michael falls and gets seriously injured, which pushes Emil to promise not to let anything like that happen again. The duo goes off to college where they both study science so they can figure out a cure for Morbius's condition. Their research into using vampire bat blood to make a cure earned a Nobel Prize, though Michael's condition worsens to the point where he breaks a finger lifting a mug. But the prize money helps fuel the next stage of the experimentation process. Wanting to perform the next leg of his research out on the ocean for security's sake, he sets sail with Emil and fiancée Martine Bancroft, though he is greatly conflicted about Martine's safety on the vessel given the dangerous nature of the experiments. Feeling that death was imminent, Michael rushes an experiment to create new blood cells using electricity, wearing an insulated suit with a high collar that would become his trademark look. The procedure turns Morbius into a living vampire. He strikes out at Nikos and kills him. Not wanting Martine to experience the same fate, he dives into the water and swims, until a fishing vessel traveling towards New York City picks him up. In his vampiric state, Morbius's face changes to look more bat-like. His bones also become partially hollow, which allow him to ride wind currents as if he's flying. His new form also gives him heightened senses as well as increased stamina, speed, strength, and durability. He survives many a potential deadly injury only to bounce back with barely a scratch. Unfortunately, all these wonderful abilities come about because he needs to feed on the blood of the living. While he possesses many traditional vampire strengths, self-generation, minor hypnotic powers, gliding on air, he does not have the same weaknesses towards the sun, garlic, and religious artifacts. He can regenerate injured tissue, but he is not invulnerable. If he has not consumed sufficient blood, Morbius's body has difficulty repairing itself. His hypnotic powers enable him to control even strong-willed persons like Peter Parker, aka Spider-Man, for a short time. Under certain unspecified circumstances, his body can transform others into pseudo-vampires like himself through an enzyme deposited in their bloodstream. Such victims usually do not truly die, and they act purely on bloodlust like true vampires. They possess none of Morbius's regenerative powers and die or even disintegrate upon being mortally wounded. During a time when Morbius was infected with Lilin blood, Lilith's demon children, he was temporarily granted eternal life and the ability to liquefy his body. His regenerative powers were also tripled during this period. Morbius is one of the world's foremost experts on biochemistry and blood-related diseases. His expertise enables him to create an antidote for his victims, curing them of their pseudo-vampirism, though the cure does not work on himself. During his time as the living vampire, Morbius tangles with the likes of Spider-Man, Dr. Kurt Connors, aka Lizard, the Fantastic Four, Jack Russell, aka Werewolf by Night, and Stephen Strange, aka Doctor Strange. He's been a part of various incarnations of the Legion of Monsters and the Midnight Suns. Morbius even registers as a superhuman with the government, which leads to stints in shield and armor. After his initial time as a misunderstood villain, Morbius became more of a hero, which set him against the likes of Demond and the Caretakers, Vlad Tapes Dracula, Marie Laveau, Lilith and her demon children the Lilin, Wayne Gifford, also known as the Basilisk, and Philip Hayes, also known as the Rose. However, he considers his bloodlust his greatest, as yet, unconquerable foe. The tortured hero began to rekindle his somewhat heroic nature when Lilith, Queen of Demons, threatened to take advantage of the thinning of walls between our world and the demonic ones. He joined with Ghost Rider, Johnny Blaze, Blade, the other Night Stalkers, and the Darkhold Redeemers to form a loose-knit network of supernatural heroes. During this time, he reunited with Martine, but she unknowingly facilitated a mutation in him. When she uncovered the trick, she was killed, leading him to feed on her briefly. This altered version of Morbius was confronted by Ghost Rider and promised to only drink the blood of the guilty. Martine was eventually turned into a vampire to further torment Morbius. Alright everyone, that will be all for today's show. I hope you learned something new today and enjoyed learning more about the Marvel Universe. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this video. Make sure to stick around to the end to see some upcoming episodes or the previous ones in case you missed them. I'm Barry, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.